She's a billionaire, a global icon, and one of the most powerful women in music. But even Rihanna, yes, Rihanna, has faced one of the biggest financial losses in celebrity history. A shocking $36 million down the drain. All because of a luxury fashion dream that fell apart almost overnight. So what went wrong? And how did the woman who lost millions end up becoming even richer, stronger, and more unstoppable than ever before? This is the story of Rihanna's $36 million failure and how it turned her into a legend. It all began with a partnership that was supposed to change fashion forever. In 2019, Rihanna teamed up with the most powerful luxury group in the world, LVMH, the empire behind Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Fendi, to launch her own fashion house, Fenty Maison. For the first time in history, a black woman was given her own label under the LVMH umbrella. It was bold, it was groundbreaking, it was Rihanna rewriting the rules of luxury fashion. The press called it the future of couture. Vogue dedicated entire features to her debut. Celebrities lined up to wear her designs, and for a moment, it looked like Rihanna had done it again, turning everything she touched into gold. But behind the glitter and glamour, something wasn't right. The timing, the logistics, and the world itself were about to turn against her. Then came 2020, and with it, a global shutdown no one saw coming. The pandemic hit every industry hard, but luxury fashion took one of the biggest blows. Factories closed, runways were canceled, borders shut down. Rihanna, who had been planning to build Fenty Maison from Paris, suddenly couldn't even travel to Europe. Her entire creative process, from design meetings to production, came to a standstill. Insiders say she felt trapped. The line she'd dreamed of building couldn't move forward, and her investors, even billionaires like LVMH, were bleeding cash. By 2021, the excitement had faded. The energy that once surrounded Fenty Maison was gone. And Rihanna, the woman who had built empires from beauty and music, had just hit her first major wall. Even before the shutdown, tension had started brewing behind the scenes. Fenty Maison was a bold idea, but the market wasn't ready. Rihanna's vision of modern luxury was about inclusivity, streetwear, and bold self-expression. But LVMH's world was rooted in exclusivity and tradition. The two approaches clashed. Executives struggled to define who the brand was for. Was it luxury couture or high-end street fashion? Was it for red carpets or real life? And as the confusion grew, sales stayed flat. Even LVMH's CFO admitted publicly that the project was still a work in progress. For Rihanna, who poured her creativity and millions of her own dollars into the venture, it was a painful reality check. The empire she'd built on confidence and connections suddenly felt disconnected. Then came the financial reports, and the truth hit hard. When the numbers came in, they were brutal. Rihanna's fashion label had officially closed its doors. The loss? $36 million. According to reports, Rihanna had personally invested over $30 million of her own money through her company, Denim UK Holdings, owning nearly half of Project Loud France, the legal name for her partnership with LVMH. Louis Vuitton's parent company matched her investment, but even their power couldn't save the brand. A joint statement tried to soften the blow, saying, LVMH and Rihanna reaffirmed their ambition to concentrate on the long-term development of the Fenty ecosystem, focusing on cosmetics, skincare, and lingerie. But everyone knew what that meant. Fenty Maison had failed. Still, Rihanna didn't panic. She didn't point fingers or make excuses. Instead, she looked forward. Because while she'd lost millions, she knew something most people don't. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. And this loss? It wasn't an ending. It was a setup for her next billion-dollar move. Rihanna didn't just walk away. She evolved. She pivoted her focus toward the two areas that were thriving, Fenty Beauty and Savage x Fenty. These weren't just brands, they were revolutions. Fenty Beauty had already changed the beauty industry forever, introducing 40 foundation shades and forcing every competitor to follow her lead. And Savage x Fenty? It wasn't just lingerie. It was a statement about empowerment, diversity, and confidence. While other luxury brands struggled to survive, Rihanna was building a movement that spoke to everyone. Her approach was simple: make people feel seen, make fashion accessible, make beauty inclusive. The result? Her empire exploded. Fenty Beauty became a global bestseller, and Savage x Fenty shows turned into worldwide streaming events, part concert, part fashion revolution. By 2021, Rihanna's estimated net worth had crossed $1 billion, making her one of the youngest self-made billionaires in history. She had lost $36 million and still ended up on top. Because she didn't chase trends, she created them. Just when people thought Rihanna would play it safe, she surprised them again. But this time, not in business. In her personal life, Rihanna made another bold move. She refused to ask her longtime partner, A$AP Rocky, to sign a prenup. Her friends and advisors were stunned. They warned her she was risking everything she'd built. But Rihanna's answer was simple. Love isn't a contract. She trusted her instincts, the same instincts that made her a billionaire. To her, a prenup felt like preparing for failure. Even though she was worth $1.4 billion, and Rocky's fortune was a fraction of that, she didn't care. Because for Rihanna, money isn't power. Trust is. And maybe that's the secret behind her success. She's fearless, in business, in love, in life. She bets on herself, and she never bets against her heart. Today, Rihanna's story isn't about losing millions. It's about gaining perspective. She's proof that even billionaires fail, but legends learn. Every setback, from Fenty Maison's collapse to her bold personal choices, became part of her empire's foundation. She turned failure into feedback, loss into leverage, and fear into fuel. Now, with 3 children, multiple thriving brands, and an unshakable legacy, Rihanna isn't just a pop icon. She's a blueprint for resilience. Because the real story of Rihanna isn't about money or fame. It's about courage. Courage to take risks. Courage to walk away. Courage to start over and win bigger every time. She lost $36 million and didn't blink. Because she knew her worth was never measured in dollars. It was measured in grit. That's why Rihanna doesn't chase crowns. She builds them. And that's what makes her not just a superstar, but a queen.